42. Calculate the equilibrium constant at 25 degrees Celsius for each of the following reactions from the value of the delta G given. So you have 2 SO2 gas plus O2 gas yields 2 SO3 gas with a delta G value, a Gibbs free energy, of negative 141.82 kilojoules. Now from this information, we have to find out that equilibrium constant. Remember, equilibrium constant is capital K. Now in this case, I'm going to assume that we're solving for Kp because all I see are gases. So should have some type of pressure values if they gave them to us. Does it really matter what K value we're using? No, because there's only one formula that links the equilibrium constant with the delta G value. Two variations depending on if you're solving for the equilibrium constant or if you're solving for delta G. In this case, we're solving for the equilibrium constant, so it's easiest to memorize the formula as this. K equals the E button on the calculator, all raised to the negative delta G divided by R and then by T as well. Now let's start with that R value. The R value wasn't given because it's a constant number. We have to memorize it. Chances are, right? Your teacher or professor will probably want you to memorize this number. Since we're using joule values, the constant is 8.314. It's not the other R value that you know, 0.0821. That's the one that's used for pressures. But in this case, since we're dealing with energy values, 8.314, and that's joules per mole times Kelvin. So this unit will dictate what other units are allowed in this formula. So for example, Kelvin is allowed, but they gave it to me in Celsius. But that's okay, because the temperature, I could just easily convert to 25 degrees Celsius into Kelvin, right? I just add 273.15. So when I add those two together, 298.15. Now let's look again. Joules are allowed only for my delta G value, but they gave it to me in kilojoules. So I just have to quickly convert kilojoules into joules. Kilojoules into joules, we're just multiplying by 1,000, or you can take your decimal and move it to the right 2 spots. Actually, just kidding, 3 spots. So this would turn into negative 141.820. So 141,820 joules, and that's the value that's going in there. Everything is accounted for, so let's just plug it in with the numbers. K equals E raised to the negative, that's in the formula. But now the delta G is also a negative value. So keep that in mind when we do calculations in a little bit. Negative 141,820, and then I'm going to divide it by those two values. We got 8.314, and then we have the 298. Okay. Now the easiest way is to just simplify this all into one number. There, I could take the E value and just raise it to the one number. So that's what I'm going to do here. K equals E raised to something. Now remember, a negative times a negative is a positive. So I'm just going to pretend that these don't really exist, right? I'm just going to plug it into the calculator as a positive, 141,820 divided by 8.314. And now since I'm not using parentheses, and I still want to show that that temperature is in the denominator, I'm going to press divide by 298.15. Enter. And we get 57.21, and a lot more numbers, right? So I'm just going to press ... or just type ... or write ... But when I actually do this next calculation, I'm going to make sure that I plug in all those values. So we have K equals, here we go, we're getting to the final answer, second ln, which is the E button. Grab all those numbers. That's why I love the TI-84. Press enter. And there you go. So now, how many sig figs? Well, let's see. I used 5 sig figs as my temperature, 5 sig figs in my delta G, and there's only 4 sig figs in my R value. Technically, I have to go by 4. So, 4 sig figs it is, 7.034 times 10 to the 24th. And that is your final answer. Okay? I really hope this helped. Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for viewing the video and becoming a supporter. I hope this is, helping you guys out in your educational journey. We also have other subjects on the channel, so go check them out. We may be able to help you with that, with more to come. All right? Thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.